It was a $15 million fraud on the federal government, with money being blown right and left on crazy bling. And the plan was hatched by two attorneys in Atlanta, one of whom was a podcaster who gave life advice on living with integrity. But when COVID-19 hit, all that integrity went right out the window when they saw a chance to steal some cash. One of the attorneys was a woman named Chandra Norton, who ran this company that did water and sewage contracts for local governments in the Atlanta area. And she was already making millions of dollars a year doing that. And the other attorney was this woman, Shalitha Robertson, who used to be a police officer and even tried to be a judge.
I am Shalitha Robertson, and I want to serve as your Superior Court judge. For more than 30 years, I've served the public as a police officer, a public defender, and a city attorney.
She also did a podcast called Mommy and Me with her daughter Brie Renee, who's an Instagram influencer. This is a clip of one of her discussions on the topic of integrity with her daughter.
Do you choose integrity and poverty? Or
I choose integrity and whatever else it brings. I don't choose selling your soul to the devil.
what part makes it selling your soul?
Because that means I'm willing to do anything, belittle myself and degrade myself for the love of what? Of $1. I'm not going to do it. My integrity, what my kids and how my kids respect me and view me means more to me than me earning a quick dollar, portraying to be something that I'm not.
In March 2020, the United States locked down most of the country to try to combat COVID-19. But with all the businesses shut down, people weren't going to get their paychecks. So the federal government launched the Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP. The idea is that they would give a bunch of loans to businesses to try to fund them paying the paychecks for their employees until the lockdowns ended. But it was only supposed to be used to pay employees. But the PPP program very quickly became riddled with scams. That's because people figured out that the government and the banks weren't actually checking what they were putting on the applications, and all the fraud controls were out the window because they thought it was an emergency. So people could just sign up with applications, put however many employees they wanted on them, and they would get handed a loan from the federal government. And all they had to have was an LLC and the willingness to lie on their application. Now, Chandra Norton was the first of these two to figure it out because she already had that company doing water and sewage contracting. So she made an application for it, but lied about the number of employees, and then figured out that she could just say companies had employees even when they didn't. So she filled out the fake applications, and the money started rolling in. Banks were sending her insane amounts of money to these companies she'd created, talking about millions of dollars every few days. $1.7 million to something called Linear Earth LLC, another $1.7 million a few weeks later to Robertson Norton Inc., then $1.9 million to CamKen Inspections LLC, and a week later, another $2 million to CamKen Inc. She immediately started moving the money to her own accounts. She spent $172,000 on a Range Rover, and then she sent the rest of it to her own personal bank accounts. And then she started working with her podcaster friend Shalitha to do the exact same thing. Shalitha created 4 fake companies that each supposedly had around 100 employees, but didn't actually have them. The feds say Shalitha Robertson's company scammed the banks out of more than $7 million in loans, in addition to the $8 million that Chandra took. They say Shalitha used the money to buy a Rolls Royce, a diamond ring, other jewelry, and that she sent a bunch of money to Chandra and to her family members. The feds caught Chandra first, and she flipped and turned into a cooperating witness. She started giving up other people who were involved, including her friend Shalitha. But 2 years later, a major newspaper in Atlanta reported that local governments were still hiring Chandra's company for water and sewer contracts. As of 2023, her company still had a $58 million contract with the local government near Atlanta. She lost her bar license, but she spent years fighting it up to the Georgia Supreme Court, and she's due to be sentenced in August 2024. Shalitha decided she was going to fight the charges and go to trial, but she lost and got 7 years in prison. The government put out a press release that said, motivated by greed, Robertson deceptively obtained funds that were designated to provide emergency financial relief to struggling small businesses during the COVID-19 pandemic. They've promised to continue working with law enforcement to investigate and prosecute anyone else who stole PPP funds.